Hello, everyone. Welcome to my show. Autumn is here. I am your host, Francine Crawford, and today we're speaking to Ms. Frances Green, and she is the Community Outreach Specialist for NAMI NYC. So welcome, Frances. How are you today?
Oh, Francine, thank you so much for having me. I am doing wonderful. Again, thank you. This is such a great opportunity that I'm able to be on. Autumn is here. So thank you.
Well, first, before we get started, I want to, first, what does NAMI stand for?
Okay, so NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness of New York City. So we are an organization that has over 700 affiliates. We are actually in every state.
Okay. Wow.
Yes. So that's why it's important that we say NAMI NYC, because there's NAMI Florida, there's NAMI Alaska, there's NAMI Queens, Nassau. So that's why we always want to make sure that we say NAMI NYC so we could distinguish which affiliate that we are discussing.
Okay. So how does NAMI service the public?
Okay, so first of all, I just want you to know that mental illness affects us all. 1 in 5 is living with mental illness, and the other 4 are most likely family members, friends, colleagues, and neighbors. We offer free programs and services to anyone that is diagnosed with a mental illness, but we also want to make sure that we support those that are caring their loved ones for them. We also provide services to parents and guardians with children 17 and under.
Awesome. Wow, that's awesome. How did you get involved with NAMI?
Okay, so I have a family member that is diagnosed with a mental illness, and one day they called me on the phone and they could not stop talking. And I was at work and they talked nonstop for like maybe 2 hours. And as they were speaking to me, the tears was running down my face because I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. So I called 311. They gave me NAMI's number. And then I called NAMI. I was able to take what's called the family to family class. And at the time I took that class, it was actually 12 weeks. Well, from week 1 through 8, I cried, because it was so much information. There was so much that I did not know. There was so much that I did not understand, because in the Black American community, we don't talk about mental illness. That's just how Uncle Bob is, or, just leave him alone. He'll be okay. Mm-hmm. So because I was never exposed to mental illness, this was all new to me. But NAMI NYC really helped me understand. So I learned how to communicate. I learned how to self-care. I learned about medications. I learned about how to advocate, because advocacy is so important in this field. We have to let people know that it's okay not to be okay. And we must try and break the stigma, reduce the stigma on mental illness.
Wow.
And so that's how I became part of it. And then after that, I found out that another family member was diagnosed with a mental illness. So it actually opened the door for me to learn how to communicate. And, sometimes it takes you to be in a position, or what's another word? Position, but also to be knowledgeable. For some reason, because I became knowledgeable, people started coming to me, right? Knowledge is power, right? So people started coming to me that I didn't even know. And they started telling me about, well, I'm going through something right now. I'm depressed, or, I'm having these suicidal thoughts. And because I work in this field now, it's like, okay, I have resources for you, and they're free.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
It is.
You're paying it back. You're paying it forward.
Yes.
You learned. You're sharing with others. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I think it's a gift. It's like a gift to be able to give back what I've learned. So when I was we call anyone that takes like one of our classes, we call them participants. So when I completed my class of 12 weeks, they asked me to be a teacher. So I became a teacher. So now I was able to teach the family to family class. And that's how the organization, NAMI NYC is. All of the teachers, all of our support group facilitators, all of the hosts, they have experienced taking either a class or they have joined one of the support groups. One thing about NAMI NYC, of all NAMIs, anyone that works at a NAMI affiliate, they're either living with a mental health condition or they are a loved one supporting someone. So wherever you turn, you're going to run into someone who actually understands what you are going through.
Okay, awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we're not clinicians. I always like to say we're like the balance to the clinician. You have the clinician, they give you, they may prescribe medication, there's some therapy, but we are actually lived experience. We actually have lived experience because we have that loved one or we are either diagnosed.
Oh, that's interesting because, I talk to different people and caregivers, and I never even thought about possibly people having to deal with a loved one that have mental illness, and that brings a different level to it. So
yes,
y'all around. You said now that you teach the family classes. Can you explain?
It's called Family to Family. So we have three. We have the Family to Family class, and that is 8 weeks for 2.5 hours once a week. But we realized that there was a need in the Black and African American community. So we launched this year our Black American Family to Family class. I'm so excited about that. I haven't had an opportunity to teach it, but I'm on the list. And the classes now are only 8 weeks. When I took it, it was 12 weeks. But now it's 8 weeks. And we have classes Monday through Friday. And we also have classes on Saturdays in the morning, afternoon, as well as evening classes, in person and online. And then we realized that we need a class for those that are diagnosed with a mental illness that are well, right, and in recovery. So we have a class called Peer to Peer. And that class is for 8 weeks as well, but it's only 2 hours once a week. And then we have the basics class. And that is for, like I said, parents with children 17 and under. And that class is for 6 weeks for 2.5 hours a week. Okay. And these classes are online as well as in person. The Family to Family class and the basics class is also available in Spanish. We just launched a Chinese class for Family to Family. Yes, because we realized in the Asian community, there's also a stigma on mental illness. And we realized, we're meeting the needs. We're meeting the needs of the people.
So it sounds like you're growing.
We are. Oh my goodness, we are.
And I know you do community work. So explain some of that, how you go out to the community and reach us, because like you said, a lot of us, especially in the African American community, we don't even know that this exists or that we can go to help or have support. So how do you go out to the community? Okay,
so there's 3 things that I do. One is tabling. Tabling is going into the underserved communities, like I serve Brooklyn, the Bronx, Manhattan, and parts of Queens. Because Queens is so large, we have the NAMI Queens, Nassau affiliate, and we split Queens up. But what I realized is when I go into these underserved communities, they have no idea that we even exist. Right? Because a lot of organizations, when they are providing services and programs, it's usually a cost. We don't accept any money. So we don't ask for your birth certificate. We don't ask for your health insurance card. We don't ask for your driver's license. We just want you to become educated because we really need to be in a position that everyone in New York City knows about the National Alliance on Mental Illness of New York City, so that we can help people become educated and become empowered. I had said when I first took the class that I cried for 8 weeks, and look at me now. I'm not saying my family members are okay, right? But what I'm saying is I'm okay in order to help them become okay.
Okay.
Right? Because I'm strengthened, because I became educated, because I am part of a support group. We have support groups. I am in the family to family graduate support group. So we still come together once a month and we talk about what we may be experiencing with our loved ones, whether they are hospitalized, whether they are in recovery, whether they're working. But it's just a community. It's like a family, right? With people that you can be open and transparent with without being judged.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's great. That's great. So, well, do you see any other new things that y'all are working on?
Yes, but we can't disclose them right now.
Okay.
But thank you for asking. We can't disclose them right now. But no, one of the things that we are working on our youth. So that is going to be very interesting to bring that into the fold.
Yes.
Another thing that I want to share is because we realize that we want to be diverse, we have a young adult class as well as a support group. We provide services to the LGBTQ plus community. We have a class for that community as well as support groups. We have a class for those that are bilingual, that speak Spanish, like I said. And we also have a Latinx class that is, not class, I'm sorry, a support group that's in English and Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that group because, again, in every community, there is a stigma. And we also do advocacy.
Mhm.
So this week, next week, the week of the 23rd, I believe it is, we're going to be at City Hall advocating.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
this is amazing. And I'm so glad that you're here to give some information and help people. I'm sure a lot of people don't know. How do we get in touch with NAMI?
Okay, so we have what's called the NAMI NYC helpline, which that helpline has over 180 languages. If anyone that may be experiencing emotional or just feeling down, they could call that number and they could get support, right? Or if they feel like they would like to take a class, they can go on our website at naminyc.org, or they could call the helpline just to speak with someone, just to share, right? Mm-hmm. They can call that number, which is 212-684-3264.
Okay, awesome. So the help is not only for the person who has the mental illness, but it's also for the caregiver or the family member or somebody that's going through it.
Friend, it doesn't matter. As long as we service adults 18 and over for the family to family class. But then there's something that's called, there's another program that's called Family Match. And that program actually is a one-on-one with, it's a one-on-one. It's for 3 months, twice a month, and it's by phone, because a lot of times we realize that people may not be able to commit to like 8 weeks. And Family Match is offered to a family member with a loved one 18 and over diagnosed, but it's also offered to parents that have the child 17 and under that may be exhibiting emotional or behavioral challenges, or they may have a mental health diagnosis as well. So that Family Match program is really, I know because I'm a Family Match mentor as well. I volunteer as a Family Match mentor, and what the program tries to do is to match you up with a diagnosis that is similar to a mentor's diagnosis, right? Loved one's diagnosis. So you have the mentor and then you have the mentee.
Okay, all right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, y'all are working. Y'all are working.
Oh no, I don't think of it as working. I think of it as just serving the community and making this as it's such a heavy subject,
Mhm.
mental illness, because we see it on the trains, we see it on the street. But when you become educated, when you see someone that may be talking to themselves or sleeping on a train or, you know, walking around without any shoes, you have a different view. Your lens change,
Mm.
right? Because you're thinking like, oh my gosh, how can we help that person? Also, I don't know, a lot of people don't know that there is a 988 number, and that is the suicide crisis helpline. And
Mhm.
that number is for anyone that you may feel that is in a crisis. So, with that number, when you call that number, not only are they going to dispatch a police unit, they're also going to dispatch a mental health social worker, a licensed mental health social worker, because they would know how to de-escalate a crisis.
Right.
Right. So we really want to make sure that people get the information regarding 988, you
Mhm.
know, become familiar with the tools and the resources that are out here to help a loved one.
Mhm. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this information. Is there anything else that you would like to say to the audience, that there's something that may be able to help them or that maybe people didn't know about?
Well, if you are an organization and you would like me to come and give a presentation regarding the services that are offered, you can send me an email at outreach@naminyc.org. If you are an educator, we do have a program that's called Ending the Silence,
Mhm.
and they have two presenters that go and speak to uh, students, middle school and high school. They also present to staff members as well as the parents. So if you would like that information as an educator and have one of our End of the Silence our End of the Silence presenters come and present, you can contact our NAMI NYC .org website. You could go on our website, or you could contact the 212-684-3284 number.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have another program. I'm not finished, Francie.
Okay. I'm fine. Go on. Give it to us.
We have another program that is called End of the Silence, but we also have a program that is called In Our Own Voice.
Mhm.
And that is actually two presenters going into churches, organizations, hospitals, schools, and they will have you will have an opportunity to hear their journey, because In Our Own Voice are two presenters who are actually living with a mental health diagnosis.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah,
It's always good to share a story because
it is.
people,
It
you don't
really
never know who's going to relate. You never know who's going through it. And you never know who people don't even recognize certain things. So when you say it, then it may click and say, oh my goodness, this is what's happening in my family or in my environment. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
it really is. I was just tabling for New York Fashion Week,
Mhm.
and that was Sunday, yesterday, the 8th, and I spoke, briefly about, our organization. But after the runway show, two of the models came to our table. So you never know. And they were young. They were like, it was in their 20s.
Mhm.
They came to the table and they wanted information. So I realized that, it's so important for us to be able to talk about mental illness and let it be okay,
Mhm.
right? Because mental illness does not discriminate at all.
Right.
It
Right.
does not know gender, it does not know color, it does not know race.
Right. That's great because we all need to know, and we need to know, that you're there, but we also need to know about it because we have to start the conversations. So often we shy away from this. We don't talk about it. Nobody wants that stigma on them or their family. So we
No.
push it under the rug until something happens and it's a crisis.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. And then what do you do in that crisis?
right.
You
Nobody
call
goes.
NAMI NYC. That's what you do.
That's what you do.
That's where
That's
you
what you do.
start.
Now we know.
Yeah,
Now we
that's
know.
what you do. You call us, and we are here to talk to you.
Okay.
We have a little button that says, I will listen, and we really listen.
There you go.
I think this is so dear to my heart because I actually went through the program.
Right.
So it's like I'm preaching what I've experienced,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to give us this information and to just share your story. And I'm glad that you're somebody that's giving back. You got
Yes.
into it and now you're giving back and you're helping so many. And it seems like y'all are growing and doing all kinds of different things. So that's so amazing. So thank you
Yes.
so much for being on Autumn is Here. I really
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time.
Thank you. But please just remember one thing. If you don't take anything else away, all of our program and services are free.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll
Thank you
remember
for
that.
having me. Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.